The woman emerged from the pavilion, her brows furrowed in confusion. She recalled that there had been several pavilions and kiosks scattered about, all in various states of disrepair, yet now they had vanished without a trace. Before she could ponder further, Ling Han swiftly swam over, and with a single motion, the pavilion behind her vanished from sight. What? A look of astonishment filled the woman's face as the realization dawned upon her. Ling Han had taken the pavilions and kiosks. She couldn't fathom why he would do such a thing. After all, there was nothing of value within the structures, and she herself found no appeal in them, much less a dignified heaven-grade alchemist. Yet, her thoughts were interrupted by another shock. Just how vast was this spatial ring of his that could hold entire pavilions? Ling Han showed no sign of care. His spatial ring was known to be vast, yet would anyone dare to rob him? Offending a heaven-grade alchemist over a spatial artifact was hardly worth the trouble. However, if anyone learned of the true power of the Black Tower, even the gods would rush to seize it. But that was another matter entirely. Ling Han then began to dig into the lake bed, his actions swift and precise. The tips of several structures soon emerged, and with a satisfied smile, he stored them into the Black Tower. Even if there was nothing of value, it didn't matter much. Yet if there were treasures hidden within, the reward would be immense. As he uncovered more, he came across the peak of a rooftop, and as he tried to store it, he was met with an odd resistance. The rooftop didn't disappear into the Black Tower as expected. Perplexed, Ling Han examined it closely. The rooftop was unusual, a sharp, triangular shape, completely golden, and unlike any he had seen before. He brushed his hands over it, and the lake bed trembled as if a great beast stirred beneath the water. The silt churned, clouding the water, and soon, more of the golden building began to emerge from the depths. Ling Han dug deeper, uncovering more of the structure's surface, but still, the building was far from fully revealed. The golden walls were unlike anything he had encountered before. After digging several feet, the structure still remained shrouded in mystery. The building itself was triangular, and the deeper Ling Han dug, the larger its surface area became. The top, once a mere pointed peak, gave way to a broader base. Yet there were no windows, no doors, only smooth, seamless metal. Curiosity burned in Ling Han, and he wasn't alone in his interest. The woman beside him, equally intrigued, began digging at the other side of the structure. Their combined efforts unearthed more of the golden temple, but still, they had not reached its base. More people gathered around, drawn by the strange sight. The fishing had subsided as the last of the absolute cold heart ice fish were caught, and now all eyes were on the excavation site. The golden structure beneath the water had piqued everyone's interest. As they continued digging, the building slowly began to reveal its full grandeur. Finally, after digging through several thousand feet of mud, the structure's full size came into view. A massive divine temple, towering and imposing, its golden surface gleaming even in the dim light of the lake bed. Ling Han recognized it instantly. He had seen a description of similar structures in ancient records. These golden edifices were often found in the gold realm, used for sacrificial rites and other sacred purposes. But to see one here, buried beneath a lake, was beyond anything he had anticipated. The temple was enormous, reaching over 1,000 feet in height, and despite its size, it stood as one solid piece. There were no seams, no cracks, just pure unyielding gold. On each of the 3 sides of the temple were massive doors, 10 feet tall and 5 feet wide. The doors themselves seemed to be melded with the walls, their golden surface almost indistinguishable from the rest of the temple. Only the intricate totemic carvings of various beasts and spirits adorned the surface, revealing that they were indeed doors. Ling Han approached one of the doors, his curiosity growing by the second. Alongside him, Guang Yuan and Yu Kai Yu also arrived, equally fascinated. On closer inspection, the totem carvings depicted animals that Ling Han had never seen before. Were these creatures the living spirits of the god realm? Without warning, one of the onlookers pushed against one of the massive doors. The stone groaned as the doors creaked open, revealing 3 dark passageways within. At the same moment, the water of the lake surged into the temple, flooding the interior as if the structure had been waiting for this moment to come to life. The temple seemed to inhale the water, pulling it in with a tremendous force. creating a suction so powerful that it pulled a few unwary bystanders inside. Most of the people reacted quickly, struggling to push against the water to rise to the surface. But the force of the suction was overwhelming. Within minutes, the entire lake was drawn into the temple, leaving only a massive pit behind. As the last of the water drained away, the golden temple stood alone in the center of the abyss, its blinding light a stark contrast to the darkness surrounding it. The temple was silent, yet it radiated an aura of reverence, as if demanding respect from all who gazed upon it. The onlookers were speechless, stunned by the sight. None of them had ever imagined such a grand, mysterious structure could be hidden beneath the water. Yet, Ling Han remained wary. The people who had been sucked into the temple earlier had not reappeared. What did this mean? Were they trapped inside, or had they perished within? Or perhaps, were they gathering treasures within the temple, too enthralled by its riches to leave? Ling Han's curiosity was piqued. He could not leave without knowing the truth. Without hesitation, he decided to enter the temple, determined to explore its mysteries. Others quickly joined him, forming groups to venture inside. It was clear that the dangers within were not to be taken lightly, but the lure of treasure was too great to resist. Ling Han, with his black tower in hand, was confident that he could keep everyone safe. He turned to Guang Yuan and Yue Kaiyu, giving them a reassuring smile. "Let's go inside and see what secrets this place holds." The four of them descended into the abyss, climbing down the now dry lake walls. The climb was treacherous, and Li Si-chan, being only at the gushing spring tier, struggled to keep up. Ling Han, ever the gentleman, picked her up with one hand, moving with agility and speed that left the others in the dust. In no time, they had reached the lake bed. As Ling Han gently set Li Si-chan down, her cheeks flushed with the exertion, her eyes sparkling like clear spring water. They were about to step into the unknown, and the excitement in the air was palpable. A few moments passed before Yue Kaiyu and Guang Yuan caught up to Ling Han's side. Their pace was slower, for they were not the first to arrive. 4 teams had already entered the Divine Temple through 3 different entrances. Ling Han, without hesitation, began his walk toward the passageway. Yue Kaiyu and the others quickly followed, instinctively placing Ling Han at their center, trusting in his plans. They entered the temple, but the darkness was oppressive. With the eyesight of the spiritual pedestal tier, they could only see clearly within a 3-meter radius, while Ling Han, having cultivated the eye of truth, saw up to 10 times farther, his vision extending far beyond that of ordinary martial artists. The interior of the temple was vast, a wide expanse without a single pillar to break the emptiness. The walls above, dark and oppressive, loomed like a force of inhibition. The temple was silent, with only the echo of their footsteps reverberating in the immense space. It felt as though they were walking through a void with no end. Their path was unhindered as they moved forward, swiftly reaching the core area of the first layer. There, a staircase leading to the second layer awaited. However, they were not the first to arrive. 4 other groups had already made their way there, yet none dared to move forward. The reason was clear. 6 corpses lay near the stairway. These were the same individuals who had been engulfed by the lake's waters earlier. Now they lay lifeless, their bodies drained of moisture, their faces drawn and twisted in a terrifying, dried-up state. Ling Han and the others could tell from their clothing that they were the ones who had entered before them. Though their faces were barely recognizable, their deaths had been silent. No screams, no sounds of struggle, leaving a chilling aura of mystery. It was evident that the 6 had met their end simultaneously, with no sign of a struggle, no battle cries. The killer's strength, it seemed, was beyond ordinary comprehension. Ling Han's eyes scanned the area, noting that nothing was concealed in this vast emptiness. The staircase appeared untouched, the surroundings immaculate. Yet, where was the killer hiding? A collective gaze shifted toward the end of the stairway, the entrance to the second layer. Could the killer have lain in ambush, waiting for the moment when the 6 individuals climbed the steps, only to strike them down and toss their corpses away? But there was something amiss. One person was missing. Someone had managed to escape the massacre. The first layer offered no hiding spots, so if the missing person had survived, they must have retreated into the second layer. But no one acted recklessly, wary of the possibility that the killer might still lie in wait at the entrance to the second layer, ready for a swift strike. It was far too dangerous to venture in blindly. Ling Han, however, paid no heed to the caution of others. His steps were sure and confident as he moved forward, his heart filled with unwavering resolve. As expected of Master Ling, some murmured, their words laced with both admiration and a hint of trepidation. Ling Han, however, was undistracted by the praise. His curiosity about the divine temple, a relic of the god realm buried beneath the lake bed, consumed him. Why had it been hidden here for so long? He reached the side of the staircase, every step still calm, nothing out of the ordinary. As he placed a foot on the stairway, the surroundings remained unchanged. The danger, it seemed, lay just beyond, the entrance to the second layer. At that moment, the others finally shared a common realization, their nerves taut, especially Li Xichan, Guang Yuan, and Yue Kaiyu, whose hands clenched in anxiety. Their gazes never left Ling Han, watching him with wide eyes. With another step, Ling Han's head passed the threshold into the second layer. He paused for a moment, gazing upward. The end of the stairway was obscured by a blurry, swirling ring of light. It was impossible to make out anything clearly from this distance. "Master Han," cried Li Xichan and Guang Yuan, their voices filled with concern. Ling Han nodded resolutely, then took a decisive step forward, charging with the speed of an arrow, his body plunging into the spinning light ring. In an instant, he appeared in an entirely new space. The surroundings here were dim and eerie, though far brighter than the first layer, where even the keenest spiritual pedestal tier warriors could see only a few meters ahead. Here, however, Ling Han could see as far as 300 meters. The ground was barren, and the land within a 1,000-meter radius was soaked in a dark red hue, as though stained by blood. A chill ran through Ling Han as he marveled at the sheer scale of this new world. The sky here rose to a height of over 300 meters, far surpassing the divine temple itself. This was no mere layer. It was a compressed world, shaped and constrained by some powerful being's mystical arts. Before he could contemplate further, a sharp wang-wang sound reached his ears. From the earth, countless tiny black dots began to rise, swarming toward him in a cloud. With his extraordinary eyesight, Ling Han quickly identified the creatures. They were small flying bugs resembling mosquitoes with long, sharp mouth parts, their wings buzzing as they approached. The ground had not been stained with blood as he first thought. Instead, it was teeming with these blood-sucking creatures. It became clear. These were the culprits behind the deaths of the 6 individuals earlier. The bugs had drained them dry. The truth of the killers was finally revealed. Though fear of the unknown had plagued him, Ling Han now felt a strange calm. Now that he understood the threat, he prepared for action. He activated Strange Fire, and in a flash, a sweeping wave of flames engulfed the swarming insects. The air was filled with the sharp cries of the bugs as they burned to ash, falling in droves to the ground. But the swarm was relentless. More bugs continued to surge forward, undeterred by the flames, using their fallen comrades as shields. They pressed on, closing the distance with terrifying speed. Ling Han smiled faintly. "Let's see how strong your bites truly are." His iron sheet body, impenetrable to most, remained unaffected by the stinging attacks. Though the sharp mouthparts could not pierce his skin, he did feel a slight pang of discomfort. It was a surprising sensation, for his physique was as tough as rare metals, yet these bugs had managed to inflict some measure of pain. Their destructive power was greater than he had anticipated. The realization hit him. The 6 people who had died earlier had likely encountered these creatures the moment they entered the second layer. With no defense like his own, they had been overwhelmed. They had tried to flee back to the first layer, but it was too late. By the time they attempted to escape, their blood had already been drained.